The best thing I ever did for my mental health was to get out of my head. Good day, beautiful people. In my last video, I talked about how isolation was not a helpful coping mechanism for me when I was struggling. If you've been through some struggles, then you might be thinking, well, what is something that might work? What's something I can do when I'm going through it? I don't want to bother with other people, and I don't want to feel like a bother to them at all. I think we've all heard the common advice to reach out to your community when you're going through something, right? But that's usually easier said than done. Even advice like start journaling to get your feelings on paper can be daunting for some people, especially if you're not a writer or you encounter writer's block, meaning the intimidating feeling of having to work through those feelings all by yourself. So I've got something different to suggest. My day job is as an Agilist, as in the Agile methodology, and I want to offer up something that Agilists use, which is called the 5 whys. This technique is something that we use to figure out the cause and effect relationship in the root of a problem in order to identify that root. Once you know the root of the problem, then you can work on solving that problem rather than working on the symptoms of that problem. Here's a quick visual of what the 5 whys might look like in conversation. Now, just a disclaimer, Agile is all about flexibility and adapting to the circumstances. So you might find yourself asking more than 5 whys, or you may not need 5. 5 is not a hard and fast rule. So let's take one of the challenges I mentioned in that last video, my failed marriage, and work through the 5 whys to get to the root cause. I'm gonna put myself in the mind state of present day Melly to give you that experience of answering at that time. I'm experiencing unaliving ideations pretty often. Why? Because I feel depressed and I don't want to be here. Why? Because my 15-year relationship, 7-year marriage has come to an end and I feel lost and sad. Why? Because I had envisioned my whole life, my whole future with him, us being a family with our son. Why? Because he was my first boyfriend, real boyfriend at 15. He was my first love. He was my first everything. Why? Because I was fixated on what was in front of me. I thought that this was my forever thing, and I never really opened my eyes up to what more or what better could possibly be in store for me. Why? Because I thought I had found stability, something certain. I didn't want to play the field. I thought that I was where I was supposed to be and I wanted to plant myself there. Why? Because that's what felt comfortable and that's what required the least amount of being vulnerable and opening up to people. I could honestly keep going with these whys, but as you can see, I started out with having unaliving ideations and moving to not wanting to open myself up to be vulnerable to people and being in a place where I just felt comfortable. That's a place in the storyline that I never would have made it to had I not gone through these 5 whys, or 7 in this case. So next time you're trying to get to the root of a problem, I recommend that you try this 5 whys technique. See if you can find the root so that you can then solve that problem rather than potentially solving symptoms of the problem. Save this video, and if you find yourself using this technique in the future, or you use it and you get stuck answering your whys, drop me a comment. Let me know if it's something I can help you get unstuck with, or let me know how it went. Thank you so much for being here.